Now I am going to show you how to make square curve. It is rectangle in shape. You need 3 patterns. One is template pattern, another is interlining, another is production pattern. In this you can make 2 variation. The first one is 1 piece cup, another is 2 piece cup. Now I am going to show you how to make 1 piece curve. If it is a lightweight non-woven interlining, you can give the interlining entire pattern. You may reduce 1/8 all around. But if it is a woven interlining or some thicker interlining, you can cut interlining as per the cuff template pattern. Sometimes you can reduce 1 mm all around reduce for cut the interlining, because while stitching we'll be stitching 1 mm away from the interlining to get a proper shape. So while cutting the interlining, make sure you are following the patterns properly. The shape of the interlining is important. Based on that, your cup shape will be determined. Now first I'll show you how to make 1 piece cuff, then we'll move on to 2 piece cuff. Since it's a single piece cuff, I'm going to cut on fold to the bottom. So you can remove the seam allowance on the bottom. Just fold the fabric and you need to follow the grain line. Place your cuff. Make sure your fold on grain line. Place the cuff. Leave the seam allowance on the top, because I'm not going to stitch over there. Mark the corners. Then draw the pattern. Then cut the pattern. So you check with your pattern. The bottom seam allowance doesn't require because already unfold. That is a template pattern and interlining pattern. Next I am going to cut the interlining pattern. This shape of the interlining is very important. It acts as a guideline to make the curve. It has to be cut perfectly. Sometime in industries they will use die cut machine to cut this curve interlining pattern so that it will be more accurate. So that is the right side. This is the wrong side of the fabric. Keep the interlining on the wrong side. Move to the fold line and leave the seam allowance all around and press it. Now let's move to the sewing machine and close the side to make the one piece cuff. First we need to do the hem on the bottom of the cuff where you place the interlining. Crease the seam allowance and do 1/4 inch stitch. Then fold the cup, right side facing right side, and crease the fold line at the bottom. You fold the seam allowance of the under cuff backwards so that you can able to insert the cuff. Then do the side of cuff. While stitching, leave 1 mm gap between the interlining and the stitches, which allow us to turn the curve easily and smoothly. Before turning, you need to reduce the bulkiness on the corner and side. The corner cut triangle piece, in the side cut seam allowance to 1/4 inch. Then in out the cuff. You can use sharp material or scissor to turn the cuff corner point. You can make either your own templates or some special machines are available, especially to turn the cuff and collars. You can use one of them also. Then crease the side. If you want to do the top stitch, you start below the hem stitch line, because we need to insert the fabric into the cuff for attaching. So start the top stitch below the 1/4 inch hem, come down, insert the needle and turn it and do a 1/4 inch top stitch all over the cuff. While folding the bottom cuff, the fold line should be at least 1/16 more than the top cuff, so that while stitching on the top, the bottom layer also will be stitched together. Now we'll move on to the pressing table to under press and complete the one piece square cup construction. Your cup is completed. The next video I am going to show you how to make two-piece cuff In this video, we are going to see how to make two-piece cuff. I am using the same patterns which I used to make one-piece cuff. In this, it is not necessary you have to make a square cuff. The corner may be notch shape or round shape. First cut the interlining. To get more accurate shape, I am using steel scale to draw the straight lines. I needed two cup patterns. One is for top, one is for bottom. Follow the grind line. The one-piece cup we cut like this without seam allowance, but two-piece cup you have to cut with a seam allowance. In the two-piece cuff, in the under cuff you can give contrast color, or if you want to use a bias on top, you can use under cuff as a normal grind line, which is not possible in the single piece cuff. Mark right and wrong side. That's the right side. Wrong side. That is also wrong side. Next step is fuse the interlining on the wrong side of the top cuff. Place the fusible such a way that seam allowance is visible all around. Place it on the middle and do the pressing. If the cuff is done on stripe or check fabric, extra hair to be taken to match the stripe and checks. The middle line of the cuff has to have some designs, and both left and right cuff has to have the same design. Now let's move to the sewing machine and start stitching. Take the upper collar, which we fused the interlining already. Fold the bottom line and do 1/4 inch stitch. I'll cut some extra threads to put it into the corners so that I will get sharp corners. The same technique we are using for the collar to get sharp corners. Keep right side facing right side. And start stitching the cuff. Stitch 1 mm away from the interlining. When you are reaching near the corner, stop 1 stitch before, insert the needle, take the thread, lift the presser foot, insert the thread between these two fabric, lower the presser foot and do 1 stitch. Bring both the threads together and put it inside, then continue stitching. Do the same technique to this corner also. To get the sharp corner and avoid the bulkiness over there like that, first trim diagonally as close as possible. You can leave 1/8 from the corner and again reduce the seam allowance like that, so that while the seam allowance folding inside, you will get sharp corner. First meter the corner, again reduce the fabric, then turn the cuff. pull the thread to get a sharp square corner. So you can see that in this method you will get very nice sharp corner, but you cannot do this on the one piece curve. Now I am going to do the top stitch. Roll the top cuff to bottom cuff around 1/8 of an inch and stitch. Now if you have a thread at the back, it's very useful to turn and stitch, because in this position only quarter portion of the fabric is contact with the feed dog. Sometimes it may not move properly, so you can pull the thread back and start stitching. And you can use the thread to pull it. Stop at the stitch level. Take out the thread. Then press the cuff. So in that cuff, the under layer I didn't fold. This you can use it for attach and closing type of cuff. This cuff is more flat, but in the two-piece cuff you can give contrast fabric and bias fabric. I am going to show you another technique to make the cuff a round shape. In this cuff you can see if I fold a round shape, it is not flat inside. It will try to become a flat. It's more flat, but our cuff supposed to be round shape like that. If I fold, you can see some folding inside. So we are going to change the under cuff and using some technique so that the cuff become round shape easily. I'm going to reduce the length of the under cuff so that it will pull there and automatically it will form a round shape like that. So next video I'm going to make a notch shape with that technique. Now we are going to see how to make two-piece notch cuff. The corner of the cuff is notch shape. So I reduce 2 cm on both length and width. If required, you can make it 1.5 cm also according to your design. So in this method, I'm going to make interlining to the whole fabric, not like a previous one, so that the entire fabric will be more stiffer. Follow the grind line, and I need a 2 curve. One is for top, one is for bottom. Mark the curve. Even you can use the pins to secure the fabric so it won't move while cutting. Mark the right and wrong side of the curve. Normally the cutting marking will be done on the wrong side. Next, take the interlining. I am using the cuff pattern itself to mark it. You may reduce 1/8 all around so that it won't come out of the fabric and sticking to that ironing table or whatever it may be. So I'm marking that. While cutting, I'll cut inside 2 mm inside, or you can make a separate pattern by reducing 2 mm all around, that is 1/8. To draw the straight lines, use steel scale. While cutting, I am cutting 2 mm inside the mark. Put it on the wrong side of the fabric. So place it exactly the fabric. You may find that 2 mm gap all over the cuff. First press the cuff pattern, Then place the interlining and fuse it together. Next, use your template and draw the shape of the cuff. Use this as a stitching guideline while stitching the cuff, or you can use the template directly to stitch it. So I'll show you in the round shape cuff how to use the template. In this I'll show you how to use a guideline. Fold the bottom for the hem, fold once and do the iron. First do the hemming part. I am stitching at 1/4 inch distance. Keep right side facing right side. Then start stitching 1 mm. Then start stitching on the guideline marks. I am going to use the thread techniques to turn the proper corners. Take around 10 inches of thread and cut into 2. I need 4 of them for 4 corners. Then start stitching. put the threads for every corners, insert between the fabric and do one stitch, then bring it together and leave it inside. Up to this point, it's more or less same construction as two-piece square cuff, except the notch shape. Now what you have to do is, we have to make cuff to round shape. So pull the under cuff and you can see some ease on the top cuff and do a stitch. While doing this, automatically under cuff try to pull the upper cuff and it will form a round shape. So pull the under cuff, automatically some ease will happen on the top and stitch. Don't make a pleats on the top, only little bit of ease, you can see that, and you can see some 1/8 gap between upper and under cuff, only that much. Again use the continue the thread technique. And finish the stitching. Before turning, you can see that it won't lay flat because we pull the under cuff. It will try to make it as a round shape like that. Even if you make the round shape, it won't form any wrinkles inside. Then before turning, reduce the bulkiness on the corners by trimming to 1/4 inch. And add some clips. Stop 1/8 before the stitching. Meter the corners. Then turn the cuff. Pull the threads to get a proper corners. top cuff to down. If required, do a press. This fabric doesn't require, I can manage with the creasing itself, and do a top stitch. While stitching, pull the under cuff inside, so the top cuff has to roll in. The under cuff should not visible outside. So if you fold the cuff, it will fold naturally, it won't be flat. So it takes the shape of the cuff. Now you can take out the threads. Next, go to the iron table and use the tailor's ham to iron it, or similar ham like that. Don't press it flatly, so that it will retain the round shape. So after ironing, you can see that it takes a round shape automatically. So if you make a round shape, it won't create any wrinkles inside, and you'll get a very nice cuff. So next I'm going to show you how to make a round shape with the same technique. Next, we are going to see how to make round shape cuff. So in this, I'm going to show you how to make this round shape properly. So you can make square and notch cuff easily, but to get this round shape, you need some more techniques. Till now, we are using a lightweight interlining like this. So this is a micro dot interlining. It is very light, but for the round shape, I am going to use woven interlining. It is comparatively thicker and more stiff. Sometimes they will use lighter weight interlining on all over the fabric. On top of it, they will use this interlining to get the proper shape. I'm using this interlining pattern. It does not have a seam allowances. Make sure it has the same shape on both left and right. And I'm cutting on fold so that both the side I will get the same shape. Use sharp pencil to get a nice shape. Put 1 or 2 pins so that it won't slip while cutting. Cut carefully. Make sure you are getting a nice round shape. Check the shape with the pattern. Next, I am going to cut the fabric. I need 2 pieces, so I am cutting on fold. Follow the grain line. I cut on the wrong side, mark right side. So take any one as a top cuff on the wrong side. Keep the fusing. Leave the seam allowance all around and fuse it. So I am using a woven interlining. It is thicker. It takes little more time to settle. Because it is stiffer than the lightweight interlining. Give enough time so that it will fuse better. Next, fold the hem and do a press. Let's move on to the sewing machine for the stitching. Take the top cuff and do the hem. I am doing the hem at 1/4 inch distance. Next, keep right side facing right side and match the edges at the bottom. Then don't stitch so close to the interlining. Leave 1 or 2 mm away, then stitch. The round corner, it's little difficult to stitch. Normally we will stitch at 2.5 stitch length. So when you are reaching to the round corner, you can reduce the stitch length to 2 mm, so that machine will run slowly and you will get a better control over the corners. So let's get started. Now I am starting with 2.5 inch, so 2.5 mm stitch. Leave 1 or 2 mm and from the interlining and stitching. Now I am reducing the stitch length to 2 mm or less than that also, so that machine will run slowly, so you will have better control. So stitch slowly. Once a corner is done, then you can change the stitch length to 2.5 mm. Then you can continue stitching, and remember to make a round shape. Pull the under cuff, so top one give little ease, and pull at the back, so that you will get a round shape cuff instead of flat cuff. You also notice that the way I'm holding the fabric, so if you hold in this way vertically, there won't be any slippage. Hold like that. Keep the position and turn the fabric to 90 degree so that it won't slips. It is similar to pinning. Now I'm reaching the curve area, so again I have to reduce the stitch length to 2 mm or less. Then slowly do the round shape. Then once it's done, change to the normal stitch length and complete the cuff. So you can already see that the top cuff is bigger than the under cuff. The next thing is you have to reduce the seam allowance as much as possible on the curve to get a nice shape. If you have a pinking shears, you can use it and you can reduce. So otherwise you fold like this and make a V-notch. Before that, you can reduce the seam allowance to 1/4 inch on the corners. Then I'll make a small notches on the corner area so that the seam allowance further reduced over there. And while making this V notches, make sure you are not cutting the stitches. You leave 1/16 or 1/8, then cut. Now it's time to turn it. What you can do is add some notches over there. What you can do is you can create one template like this on the same shape, either on the cardboard or aluminum sheet. Then you can use that to turn it to get a perfect round corner. So you'll get a nice shape. So I make it on the thicker sheet, some cardboard. So I have one cardboard. I draw the shape. So I cut the shape on the thicker material. So I use this as a template, keep it on that place and turn it. So you can see that how nicely it's turned with the shape. I'm going to do it on the another side. Keep the template in position. Then turn it. So in this method you can create nice round shape curve. So automatically it will make a round shape. Move on to the iron table for pressing. Use the tailor's ham. Don't try to iron flat. And pull the under layer so that the top layer roll little bit. Now you can see that the how curve become a round shape. It will take a shape of the sleeve. Even if you make it as a round shape, there is no wrinkles inside. Now this can be attached to the sleeve.